Charlie Kendall's Metal Shop has a new home on the internet. It's ckmetalshop.com. The latest metal news, Metal Shop showtimes with links, plus t-shirts and merch, along with all the metal that matters. Check it out, ckmetalshop.com.
Hey, it's Sierra Levesque, and you're watching CMS TV.
CHRIS Akin Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Akin. And today on the show, we are going to introduce you to a new artist. She is a jack of all trades, singer, guitarist, piano, drums, songwriter, little bit of everything. And she has a new song out called Authority, and we are going to talk about that as well as everything else that she's doing. Miss Sierra Levesque. Sierra, how are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. It's great to talk to you. I love discovering new music. I will admit I'm just now catching on to your music in the last couple of weeks, probably like a lot of people as you're going forward. So why don't we start there? Why don't we start with maybe you telling everybody who you are and how you've come to be, getting a lot of attention in the world right now.
For sure. Well, thanks so much again for having me on. I'm very excited to be here. And yeah, my name is Sierra Levesque. I really started getting into music when I was around the age of 3, actually. My parents started putting me into musicals, and then I started taking singing and piano lessons at the age of 7. And that's when I wrote my first song. So ever since then, I kind of knew I had a passion for songwriting. Then I started taking drum lessons at age 10, guitar at age 12, and bass at 13. And I really started performing live very often around the age of 12. I'm from a small town in Ontario, Canada, so I'd perform all around my town, in all the neighboring towns, anywhere I could get, and just kept writing songs throughout my teen years. I started recording my own music as well, especially during COVID in my home. I made a little studio, and also during COVID is when I started posting on social media a lot, and that luckily helped me gain more of a following, and I started posting a lot of song covers by rock bands and artists who I love, and luckily a few of them even shared it, so that kind of helped me to start gaining a bit of a following. And from there, since COVID, I've just been kind of working on my own music. I graduated high school. I'm now doing an online degree in songwriting, so that's fun. And I released my first song last September. Now I have 4 original singles out, as well as 1 Christmas song, and another Christmas song coming this year. I always love to do a rock version of a Christmas song. Sure. But yeah, just love releasing music, and I'm actually planning my next release to be my debut album. So I'm doing everything fully independently. It's very fun just to see how everything goes over, see what people think. And yeah, my most recent single was Authority, which I would say is probably one of my heaviest songs so far that I've released. And just love showcasing all different sides of me and doing anything music related. So that's pretty much my life in a nutshell.
Sure. A lot to unpack there. Let's talk a little bit about it. The first thing, which to me is the most obvious, is somebody that's young, like you're very young, you know, how have you avoided falling for the trends that have been basically your whole life, which has not been rock music, which has been much more hip hop and rap and R&B and stuff? You've avoided that, and you've gone with kind of the lesser popular musical style these days. What was it about rock that led you to it versus, you know, I mean, with your musical talent, I'm sure you could write a hip hop song or a R&B song or something if you wanted to.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to rock music. My dad is a huge fan of 80s rock. I would be asleep in the car on drives listening to Guns N' Roses, like at the loudest volume possible, Ozzy Osbourne, Motley Crue. So I really grew up, I like to say it's kind of in my blood. But when I was younger, I was definitely a pop fan. I used to go to Justin Bieber concerts. I did all of it. And I would say it was maybe around the age of 12 when I started learning guitar that's when I really started taking a liking to rock. My first rock concert was Kiss. And from there, I just started going to all the concerts that my parents went to. And the first song I wanted to learn on guitar was Sweet Child of Mine by Guns N' Roses. So I think kind of around that moment was when I realized, you know what, no, I want to do rock full time. I want to be rock. I don't want to be pop. I've always liked hip hop, but it's not really one of my favorite genres. Pop too, I do still love some great pop artists even today, but yeah, I always wanted to be rock and just follow in the footsteps of my idols. I also grew up loving Avril Lavigne, and she was kind of in the middle. She was, you know, the pop rock thing. So people like to say I'm kind of like Avril Lavigne, but a bit heavier. My music does kind of go all over the place. So I have like slower ballads, rock songs, some things that are more pop rock. So I would say, yeah, I took a whole bunch of influences, blended them all together. But I do know that, yeah, rock is my calling, and that's what I've kind of grown up with. So I'd say that's where it came from. And I just kind of like to stick to it and support the genre as much as I can.
Sure. Now, what do you tell people you are? Because you are a lot of things. Are you a singer? Are you a guitarist? Are you a multi-instrumentalist, as the bio says? I mean, what do you tell people?
Usually I say I'm a singer, songwriter, and then I tell them what I play, but that takes too long. So to condense it down, I just say singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and usually I say pop rock, because if I say rock, for some reason today, especially younger people, when they hear the word rock, they associate it with like very loud and like even screaming because they haven't been exposed to it as much. So I like to add in the word pop just to be safe, because my songs I find are catchy, which people associate with pop. So usually that's what I say. I say I'm a pop rock singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist. It's the easiest way to say it.
Right on, definitely. Now, Sierra, you are, you know, for people that don't know, I'll give them a little bit of backstory, and then you can fill people in. You're not just one of a million that are out there making music. You are getting attention from a lot of huge name people. And I mean, the biggest one I wanted to talk about was Desmond Child. I mean, there are a million musicians that would pay just about anything for Desmond to listen to them, let alone comment on them. How did you get his attention?
Yeah, I think, again, it first started on an Instagram video. That's kind of how a lot of these things happened for me during COVID. I think everyone was online more, you know, looking at everything. So I was just taking the opportunity to post as much as I could. And I believe it was a Cyndi Lauper cover that I saw him like. And I messaged him on Instagram after I had seen that, because, you know, he's a legend, especially amazing songwriter, so many great songs. So I messaged him, and then I believe he followed me and messaged me back and said that he really liked my cover. So that was so great. And then a few months later, there was this thing called Rock Fantasy Camp, where they were doing online master classes throughout COVID, where you could talk to and ask questions to so many amazing artists. And one of them that they had on was Desmond Child. So I joined the class, and part of it was he was going to critique a song that we wrote. So I sent him one of my original songs. He listened to the whole thing, gave me some great feedback, and he told me, Sierra, you promise you'll keep following me on Instagram and I'll never unfollow you? And I was like, I promise. But yeah, he had some great quotes that I could take from that when he was talking about my song, and he was so nice and supportive and just said such great things about me on that Zoom. So truly appreciate that. And yeah, still following each other to this day. So he's so great, and just definitely glad to have met him. So hope to work with him one day. That would be a dream come true.
Right on. Well, maybe you won't even need to work with them. I mean, that's the other thing. As somebody that's been writing music for basically your whole life, you may not need to bring in a partner to write for you.
Yeah, maybe not. We'll see. But you know what? Anytime Desmond Child calls, if he ever calls, or if I get the chance to call him, I will be taking up the offer, hopefully. So we'll see.
Right on. Right on. Well, Sierra, it's no secret you have a ton of musical talent. Did you consider joining a band instead of doing your own thing, or forming a band? Or are you more comfortable doing it all yourself so that you know it feels exactly how you want it to feel?
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of gone through that process of figuring out what I want to do. I have hired bands for performances before, and that always goes great. But yeah, I would say overall, I do love doing it solo right now, especially because, you know, in my small town, there aren't as many musicians. So I was trying to find people for a while, and I've done a lot of collaboration shows or like guest shows. And I just realized that, yeah, in order for me to get the sound I want and to make sure it's consistent with the sound on the recording, I think the best thing right now is to do it solo. But one day my goal is to have a backing band, you know, kind of like how Olivia Rodrigo has all the live musicians. I still want live musicians. That's my number one. I don't want to perform to a recording forever, because right now I'm actually doing my shows to a self-recorded backing track where I've recorded the drums, bass, piano. I've recorded everything for my songs, and then I sing and play guitar over it. So you're kind of hearing like a full band of Sierras. But one day I want to be able to just play and sing and then have a band behind me playing that. So it's kind of been a process, but hoping to find that someday soon. But until then, I'm just going to keep doing it alone and see how that goes.
Sure. Now, Sierra, you are actually coming into the limelight at a very good time when you look at the bigger picture. You see bands like The Warning killing it, and you see Plush out there doing it really well, and Shez Kane, and you know, there's a bunch of them that are coming of female-driven rock bands. As rock is re-emerging, it seems like the women are kind of leading that more or less. You know, do you see that as prime opportunity for you, given that is the wave that's going on right now?
Yes, for sure, because I find that now, even more than ever, whenever people hear my music, they do talk about those other acts that you mentioned, and it's great to hear because then they kind of have something to compare you to. Because if there was nothing else, then it will kind of be a little bit difficult for them to, you know they already like this other band, but what do you sound like? Now, whenever people hear that I'm female rock, they say, hey, I love The Warning, so I'm going to check out your music, stuff like that. Or I just saw Plush perform live, and I say, oh, yeah, they're awesome. And so then they come to see one of my shows and check me out. You know, that's definitely the great part of having other acts who I can rely on to carry the genre forward as well. And you're right, I do definitely think it's a great time because there's so many amazing female acts, female guitarists, female multi-instrumentalists coming up, sure. And just great to be a part of that scene. So it's definitely fun.
Sure. And as an old guy, I can tell you it is the first time, you know, I'm 55, and it's the first time in my lifetime that it's not judged. It's not, it's a chick band or it's a female guitarist. You know, it's not judged the same way anymore. It's just okay, which I don't know if that's necessarily good or bad, because in one respect, you would always kind of get the break, you know, yeah. in the early days, but at the other end of it, you know, it was like, all right, well, I'm the best chick guitar player. Well, what does that mean? It means, okay, well, then there's all these guys and then me, you know?
Yeah.
So when you look at it, are you happy that it is that way, or, you know, that it is the way it is now where it's not judged as much, but at the same time, you maybe don't get the benefit of that, or or is it the other way where you're like, good, glad it isn't that way?
Yeah, I am glad that it's not as hard, you know, to make it in as a woman, because like throughout history, all the amazing women have faced so much. Like Joan Jett, she was told, you know, girls can't play rock and roll. So I think that definitely helped pave the way for now to be a much more inviting community. And I'm glad it's not as judged, because now there is such a big community of female act supporters. Like just on Instagram, I know so many amazing supporters who their main thing is they support female rock acts, which is amazing because there's so many of them to go around. And yeah, I think overall I'm like I said, happy to be in the time and happy to be not judged all the time. I mean, people still judge, here and there. People still have the mindset sometimes that girls aren't meant for this type of music, but I like to stand up against it. I'm sure all the other female acts do as well. So yeah, I think it's helpful. And even just moving to Los Angeles recently, I've noticed that there's such a great community, like I said, of female artists and female supporters as well, kind of girls supporting girls, which I think has only gotten bigger. So I'm very happy to be in it and hoping that it just keeps getting bigger.
Right on. Well, Sierra, let's dig into the song. Let's talk about Authority. Tell us about it and tell us about where you were mentally when you wrote it.
Yeah, I was pretty much at the end of my high school days when I wrote this song. I really don't love when teachers are a figure of authority, try to tell you what to do. I was in a Catholic school, so, certain band shirts I was wearing I couldn't wear or stuff like that. And I just thought, you know what? I'm sure people can relate, even whether it's an employer or family member. People always try to tell you what to do, what to say. And so I wrote Authority. I started performing it live just around COVID to see what people's reaction was. And this became one of the favorites amongst my fans online and in person. So I've been waiting to release it just to get some more music out there, but now it's finally here. And yeah, I really love this song, kind of like a anthemic vibe. For me, in my mind, it's kind of like a little bit like We're Not Gonna Take It.
Sure.
That's how I see this song. That's how I see the energy of it. And that's how I feel when I sing it. We're not gonna take it. I'm not gonna live like this another day. I hate authority. I'm not conforming. That's kind of how I feel. And, people look at me and they say, girl, you look like so sweet and little. I can't even believe that you would say this. But you know what? No, I do feel this way. I do. And I'm sure other people can relate in all different situations. So yeah, I was excited to record it. I fully recorded all the instruments on it. And then I also made a music video for it. So very happy to have that out. And hopefully people are liking it.
Right on. Now, did I read right that Bumblefoot was involved in this as well?
Yes, he's actually been kind enough to be teaching me guitar online through Zoom since COVID. That's been so great, and he's been so supportive. And then he also, when he saw that I was starting to record my music, told me about how he'd be happy to help with production. So he's been mixing and mastering everything for me. It's great. I send him all the tracks, and then we go on Zoom, and I kind of watch what he does, so I get to learn as well. And yeah, I kind of co-produce it with him, and just very grateful to have his support and love his music. So happy to have him help me with my sound.
You do know that's not normal for the guy from Guns N' Roses is doing my mixes and stuff.
I know. No, I'm so grateful. Like I said, I grew up loving Guns N' Roses, especially the Chinese Democracy era, because that's my dad's favorite era. And back in 2012, my dad actually met Bumblefoot, so it's kind of like a weird, the way the world works. He has like a picture beside him. And now today I've gone to Bumblefoot's studio in New Jersey quite a few times. He's come up and met me at different places. So it's kind of weird how the world works, but just like so crazy to even say that he's my friend still and say that I know him. So I'm definitely grateful. It's awesome.
Sure, no doubt. Well, when you listen to Authority, Sierra, how do you view it versus the songs that you've worked on before? And I mean, going all the way back, do you see the growth? I mean, do you listen to the old stuff and go, oh, what was I thinking? Or, or do you see it as just the normal progression for where you've gotten to?
Yeah, I do think, what was I thinking, especially about some of my earlier songs. Like the first song I ever wrote when I was 7 was some strange song called Hollywood Disguise. And maybe one day I'll play it somewhere. But, looking back at that compared to Authority is what I always envisioned making. Like that's the type of music that I envision when I see myself as an artist. And just like everything I did in that song, especially the recording that's released, because I actually re-recorded it this year to try and add a few more things that I had visioned. Like I added the sound of a crowd marching, because when I was performing live, I started doing this thing where I would march, but there was no marching in the song. And I thought, you know what? Shoot, this could be cool. So I got Bumblefoot to help me, and we added a whole crowd marching in it in the beginning and in the middle. And I think even just that adds like so much of the power. So yeah, this is the type of music I always envisioned making. And I do have about 25 songs fully recorded and ready. So I know there's like so many different sounds that I have coming. And in my debut album, you'll hear like a few different sounds as well, you know, from heavier rock to quieter. I kind of do a lot of different versions of rock. So always glad to have that versatility, but Authority is, I would say, one of my favorite songs I have so far. And yeah, just like kind of embodies what I see as an artist for myself.
Sure. Now, when are you thinking that the full length record will come out, or do you have a plan for that yet?
Yeah, I'm definitely hoping to start working on it. I'm going back home to Canada for the holiday season soon. And when I go there, my main thing is going to be recording all the music that I wrote this summer. I'm going to be preparing, getting things ready. So that's the time when I'm going to start putting everything together. I'm hoping early next year, sometime, you know, spring at the latest. Yeah, just kind of looking forward to it, and I'll be promoting that one even more than my singles. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. It's going to be self-titled so that you can remember me. Sierra Levesque by Sierra Levesque, you know, just to make it nice and easy. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and stay tuned for some announcements soon.
Right on. Now, for you, you know, I want to address the one, you know, you got a nice little title from guitar.com labeling you Gen Z's most ambitious new guitarist. And that's great. I mean, that's great, and it's probably accurate. At the same time, that's a lot of pressure for you to have to wear, you know, and quite honestly, it makes people come at you instead of just judging you naturally. It makes people, first time they hear it, you're being judged at the top of the mountain instead of being judged as somewhere on the mountain, so to speak. Yeah. Is that fair, or does it add pressure for you, you know, when you get a label like this, or when you get a achievement like this, to actually now live up to it?
Yeah, I mean, when they first interviewed me a few years ago, I was very excited, and then I had no idea that was going to be the headline. So when I saw that, I was even surprised. I was like, wow, they think that? I mean, thank you. Wow. Yeah, I had been working on my guitar throughout COVID. I would say it was definitely very humbling, and I was just so happy to even see that. But yeah, I would say the main thing that comes from that is the fact that people do see that and assume I'm only a guitarist, which has come back to bite me sometimes. I don't think just specifically from that article, but from my Instagram even, because throughout COVID, I was learning guitar, posting solos, and that kind of now, in some people's eyes, had made me only a guitarist. So when people would talk about me or talk to me, they would think I'm only a guitarist. So for the past few years, I've been kind of reintroducing my voice and my singing, because it kind of got lost throughout COVID, which I never expected to happen. But you know what? Great, helped me gain even more of a following. So yeah, I would say it's definitely a great title to have, but I do always love being recognized for both guitar and voice and songwriting. So, you know, it's kind of all balances out each other, but I've been trying to prove now, you know, that I'm mostly a singer-songwriter. That's how I see myself. But yeah, guitarist is my third thing. So even great to see that other people think I'm a great guitarist, which again, so amazing to hear when I first saw that. Even then, after that, I was featured in Guitar World on the Guitar World website, and that was crazy too. Just like always a dream to be featured there. Never thought I would be, because I always considered myself a singer-songwriter first. So the whole guitarist thing kind of came out of nowhere after I was posting these covers, and now people have just, now people I think are starting to see me again more as equally singer and guitarist, because I've kind of brought it back together. But for a minute there, I was kind of worried people would think I'm only a guitarist. But since then, it's definitely gotten better, and still just trying to show all sides of me. So
and I guess in the end, it doesn't matter. I'll tell you, I'm friendly with Mariah from Plush, and she's known as a singer, and I mean, amazing voice, obviously, but she's also a great guitar player, and she gets no credit for that, just none. And it's like, you know, I know it drives her crazy because she wants to be known as a guitar player as well. I guess it comes down to at the beginning of a career, you really can't point fingers at those that are giving you attention. You just have to kind of take it and be thankful and go forward with however they portray it until you establish yourself, right?
that's kind of the way I've been going for sure, you know, just like any attention technically is good attention because then it's getting you more reach to people, more potential followers. I always like to say any comment, no matter good or bad, at least it's a comment. It's an interaction and people see you and hopefully they send you to someone else. So you know what? Any press is good press and just happy to be featured anywhere.
Right on. Now, for you, Sierra, what is your hardest thing to improve in your game? I know 1,000,005 musicians. None of you are satisfied with what you do. So what is it? What is it for you that is the hardest to improve? Is it the guitar, or is it stretching your voice to different octaves, or is it songwriting, writing better lyrics, writing more catchy hooks? What do you work on the most to try and improve?
Yeah, I definitely try to improve a lot. I try to improve all three things that you just mentioned. My voice, I take singing lessons, so you know, still trying to reach different notes. Songwriting, I'm still doing my online degree in songwriting and literally learning about all aspects of music and songwriting, which has been really helpful. I would say guitar, yeah, guitar has been the thing that's come the hardest to me. Singing came easier and songwriting came easier as well. So learning guitar and working on guitar has been, I would say, the hardest journey for me, especially once I started taking lessons from Bumblefoot. That's kind of when I made the switch from just playing rhythm to playing lead. And so now, like, doing solos and stuff like that, that was a whole new world for me. And always still trying to learn new solos, learn different things. That's definitely, I would say, been the hardest. But songwriting is something that also you can always learn a new thing because there's never enough songs to be written. So I'm always trying to write something new, always trying to write a new type of hook and use my instrumental abilities to, you know, create something different, create something unique. So yeah, I would say there's always something to learn there, but guitar's been the most difficult and songwriting's been the one that I can just keep learning something new every day.
Right on. Now, I just have to ask, you're taking guitar lessons from Bumblefoot. That guy is a freaking god when it comes to playing. That has to be intimidating, if nothing else, because no matter what you can think of, he's like, oh yeah, just do this, and he does it. You know, is that intimidating when you're working with somebody on that level?
Yeah, at first it definitely was because I consider him like one of the best in the world for sure. Like he's just so amazing and like crazy things he can do on the guitar is just every time I watch him, even to this day, I'm still shocked. So it's definitely intimidating. And I would say that because he is such a nice person, he's so humble and he's such a great teacher too. He doesn't really make you feel like silly when you're asking a question because I've asked many silly questions. He has never made me feel silly. He's never made me feel like I don't know something. He's definitely a really, really good teacher. So I would say now knowing him and taking lessons with him for a while, it's not intimidating anymore. But at first, those first few lessons, I was like shaking. I was quite nervous because you know how much he does and how crazy good he is. So yeah, it's definitely been a process. But now I see that he can take it back when he needs to. When he needs to just play those 3 chords and show you how to do those. But then the second later, he can be going crazy with the tapping. So kind of he's a crazy player. So glad to have him as a teacher, but yeah, he's never made me feel silly.
Right on, definitely. Well, Sierra, you do have this new song called Authority. It is out there now. It's basically available anywhere that you listen to music these days. Where's the best place for us to send people to keep up with you and eventually tour dates and merch and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I would say the main place, I post a lot on Instagram. So if anyone has Instagram, I'm Sierra Levesque Music, and I'm actually the same username on all platforms: YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, every single platform. I'm Sierra Levesque Music. And then, yeah, to find out about all my stuff, I do have a website. It's sierralevesquemusic.com. Same name everywhere. And again, if you want to hear my music, Sierra Levesque on all platforms. So I'd really appreciate a follow, a listen, and grateful for any support.
And buy something if there's ever anything to buy, for God's sakes.
Hopefully soon. I'll be announcing some type of merchandise. Up until now, I've just been using stuff as promotional items. But yeah, I would say right now, just buy the music, please.
Yes, exactly. Well, one more time, it is Authority. It is Sierra Levesque. And Sierra, thanks so much for joining me here on CHRIS AKIN Presents.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
I hate authority. I'm not conforming. Won't ever be the person they want me to be. to push away or rise above. I hate authority, I'm not conforming, won't ever be the person they want me to be. So much I wanna say, my thoughts are pushed away or rise above. Yeah, rise above authority.
Looking to sell your car quickly and for top dollar? At buyyourcars.net, we make it easy. Whether your vehicle is new, used, or even damaged, we'll buy it in any condition. Fast offers, quick cash, and hassle-free transactions. What more could you ask for? Just visit buyyourcars.net, enter your vehicle information, and get a fast offer within minutes. Ready to sell? Call us today at 770-815-0342 or fill out the contact form at buyyourcars.net. Get cash fast for your car the easy way. Buyyourcars.net. Selling your car has never been